Gospel according to Matthew, the 13th chapter. That same day, Jesus went out and sat beside the sea. Such great crowds gathered around him that he got into a boat and sat there, while the whole crowd stood on the beach. And he told them many things in parables, saying, "Listen, a sower went out to sow. And as he sowed, some seeds fell on the path, and the birds came and ate them up. Other seeds fell on rocky ground where they did not have much soil, and they sprang up quickly since they had no depth of soil. But when the sun rose, they were scorched, and since they had no root, they withered away. Other seeds fell among thorns, and the thorns grew up and choked them. Other seeds fell on good soil and brought forth grain, some 100-fold, some 60, some 30. Let anyone with ears listen. Hear then the parable of the sower. When anyone hears the word of the kingdom and does not understand it, the evil one comes and snatches away what is sown in the heart. This is what was sown on the path. As for what was sown on rocky ground, this is the one who hears the word and immediately receives it with joy. Yet such a person has no root, but endures only for a while. And when trouble or persecution arises on account of the word, that person immediately falls away. As for what was sown among thorns, this is the one who hears the word, but the cares of the world and the lure of wealth choke the word, and it yields nothing. But as for what was sown on good soil, this is the one who hears the word and understands it, who indeed bears fruit and yields, in one case 100-fold, in another 60, and in another 30. The gospel of the Lord. You may be seated. I apologize for the microphone. I don't know where I left the other one last week at the end of the service, so this is a new one. It's a little different, so excuse me for that. So how many of you have heard this parable before? Probably should be everybody. Now, you've heard it more than once, right? We've heard this a lot. See, you'd think that would make it easy to preach on, right? But it makes it harder. It also should be easy because Jesus explains it. Yay, helps the preacher. But that also makes it more difficult too, because we hear it a lot and all these different things. So it's kind of easy to just say, well, we know what this is all about, and go on with it. But there really is something about this parable that I think is really relevant, in that sometimes we make it too easy sometimes. So I want to put this parable in context. You know me, I like context. Because this chapter 13 is all parables, and it is a significant shift in Jesus' ministry. So I'll tell you, so going back to chapter 10, which we went through for quite a while, this was where Jesus called the 12 together and asked and told them that they would be disciples and that he was going to send them out. He says, don't take anything with you, rely on the hospitality. If somebody welcomes you, they welcome me, but don't worry, there's going to be persecution. People are going to, yay, great job description that we all have. So it goes from telling them about that they are now the ones that are going to be called out to go forth and to do things. Then in chapter 11, the first thing that it says is John the Baptist is in jail, and he is beginning to doubt if Jesus is the one, if this is all right. And so John the Baptist sends his disciples to Jesus to say, your cousin's really wondering if you are the one. Now, if John the Baptist is starting to have doubts, Matthew is really, this is a red flag for the people that are reading or hearing this. Wow, what is going on here? And so then throughout chapter 11, you see people starting to reject. There are stories of Jesus being rejected over and over again. And then in chapter 12, that rejection gets really escalated. At this time, the Pharisees now are really involved in this. And so they are watching Jesus. They're talking badly about him. And then they see Jesus heal a young boy that has a spirit. Jesus casts the spirit out. And so the Pharisees say, well, only that boy was filled with the spirit of the devil, Beelzebul. Jesus must have the spirit of Beelzebul too. He's the devil, to be able to cast out the devil. So this is escalating, and of course Jesus has a very wonderful comeback to the Pharisees on this. But that sets it up. From this point on, the Pharisees now are out to get Jesus. They want to get rid of him. In fact, the word that they said was they want to destroy him. So you've got this chapter 10, we're the ones that are sent out. It's going to be a difficult job, but we're the ones that are supposed to do this. You see Jesus now, who had been so beloved, now getting rejected. You see that rejection getting set up even higher. And at the end of chapter 13 is when the story comes where his mom and brothers are looking for him. And the crowd, and they can't get to him. So the crowd says, your mother and brother are here to see you. And Jesus says, who are my mother and brothers? It is those who listen and believe in me. So he now changes the definition of family, which is not nationality or blood. It's belief. It is belief. That really widens things out. And then we go straight from all of that into chapter 13, and I think it left out a few words there at the beginning because it says that same day. So chapter 13 starts that same day that the Pharisees have accused him of being the devil, of when his parents have come looking for him, all of this. This has been a busy day. And so that same day, Jesus talks in these parables. Now, we skip verses in our reading. As you can see, we we skip 9 through 18. So it does say that same day Jesus went out to boat and sat beside the sea. Again, because there were such great crowds. Everybody's rejecting him. No, not everybody. But he's still drawing a lot of people. And he told them many things in parables. Then we skip to chapter 18. What happens in the middle there is that the disciples ask him, why are you speaking in parables? Because he hasn't before. Suddenly, the way that he is talking to people is different. And the disciples notice it. They notice, well, this is and what is he talking about? The kingdom of heaven. Let's be really clear. He's been talking about the kingdom of heaven is here. The kingdom of heaven is now. The kingdom of heaven. Notice it's the kingdom of heaven, not the kingdom of God. In Matthew, it's the kingdom of heaven. Heaven is here. The kingdom of heaven is here now, but not fully. And the disciples notice this different, and Matthew wants us to notice that too, because that is part of the change. And so when the disciples say, why are you speaking in parables? Because you haven't done that before. That is when Jesus says that those who, I've got to keep this open to see what it says and doesn't say, so I make sure. Yeah, he explains it there at the end, but he talks about that when he's talking to the disciples, privately, the disciples, he goes, because the people that are in tune with me, the people that are coming to hear me, the people that are in tune spiritually with me, they're going to hear these stories, and they're going to understand them. But the people that aren't in tune with me, they're going to hear them, and they're going to go, what is he talking about? Because I'm talking in parables because I'm talking to the people who are in tune with me. The others, they're not going to understand. I don't want them to understand. No. It's just, this is where you begin to see who are the followers, who are the true believers. It's in speaking this way, I speak this way, in order for people to work at it, to assess whether or not they are in tune with me. So it's a significant shift now. He's done all these things up to this point, and then in this point, he's teaching, and he's teaching, and he's talking about the kingdom of heaven. And what does it mean for us to live in the kingdom of heaven now? What does it look like? So he tells these parables. So he tells this parable about the sower and the seed. And Jesus, I'm trying to see if he defines it here. Yes. Hear then the parable of the sower. The sower. So who's the main actor? Anybody. The sower. It's not the seeds. It's the sower. Now, farmers in Jesus' time were poor. They needed to plant carefully. They needed to cultivate the soil. They needed to make sure that their seeds fell on soil that they knew was going to produce fruit. They couldn't just One of my favorite commercials right now, I don't know if y'all see it, I don't even know if it's a boy or a girl, but it's this little newspaper thrower who has on headphones and this really happy music, and they're throwing the newspapers, and they are happy and exuberant. And when I first saw it, just this, it just made me so happy to see this paper person enjoying it. And in my mind, all the papers were going to land exactly right, to show like, whoa, what this. No, it breaks every window in the neighborhood. All the news, it's an insurance commercial. I had such hopes. Life is kind of like that. So Jesus is telling a parable of a sower who is sowing extravagantly, just woof, woof, and talks about all the different kinds of soils that there are that the seeds get to. And so he again, the disciples say, well, what is this? He explains it about what was sown. He hears about the different crowds and all. But as for the one who hears and understands, who hears the word, receives it with joy, who hears the word but falls away, who hears the word but the cares, they're all getting it. They're all receiving the seed, but not all of them are understanding it and taking it to heart and carrying it deep within them. So why does Jesus talk privately to the disciples? Why does he give them the explanation, but not the crowds? I've thought about this. I think it's because we always associate the sower with Jesus. I think we're the sowers. Back in chapter 10, he said, you're going to be the ones that are going out. You're the ones that are going to be telling the word. You are the sowers. And remember what they said about John the Baptist? People didn't like him because he was so aesthetic and kind of foreboding. I came and I'm eating with tax collectors and sinners, and people don't like me because I'm eating with the wrong soil. I'm being with the people that need to hear this good news. I'm sending you out. You need to be aware you're going to be rejected, but I want you to fling those seeds everywhere. Fling them far and wide. Some are going to receive that, and they're going to grow. Your job is not to say, Sally looks like good seed. Here, have some seeds, Luke, no. Fling it far and wide. Be as extravagant as you can. This seed is a abundant. It gives life. It produces life. It is yours. Share it everywhere. And that makes it kind of a hard parable, because then it is on us. It's about the sower. So how do we be extravagant in our sowing? How do we Luke and I were kind of, Zach and I were kind of talking about this morning about, we've talked about this all the time. It's the people that don't get fed, spiritually or socially or culturally. Such bad soil. We need to fling and to be present and to watch and to help them grow and to do things. And what, for me, is the word in all of that is that all we do is fling. We're not responsible for what grows. The soil is what's going to be doing that work. And so that's where my hope lies, because life comes out. Life comes out of the soil. Life comes out. My flinging is going to produce something, not my flinging, but God's activity in people's lives. It's going to happen. All I'm responsible for is being the one to get it out there. And then God takes over. God takes over in their lives, takes over in my life, takes over in creating the harvest. There will be a harvest. It may be in a weedy patch that you never thought something could grow out of, but suddenly there's a rose. Our job is to sow the seeds. What does Jesus say here at the end? This is the one who hears and understands it, who indeed bears fruit and yields in one case 100-fold, in another 60, and in another 30. God works as God will. We're the ones that are called. We're going to hear more parables about the kingdom of heaven. But I want to tell you one interesting thing. In the Greek text, the word seed is never used. It is not in the Greek text, and I don't know why. All the commentators that I read said, well, Jesus said a sower. People are going to imply that it's seeds. It's not in the Greek, though. And it just makes me think, well, maybe what we're sowing is literally the kingdom of heaven. Amen. Let us continue with our confession of our faith. I just have to tell y'all, I love this. There are seeds down here. Pollen. There are pollen seeds. That's so cool. I love it. Let us rise with our